Welcome back to Mega Man X Command Mission. So, it's intermission time. And you know what that means. Let's see how the deployment center's doing. So, we've got a bunch of returns. I doubt we got anything of particular interest. Yeah, we got Zenny from this one. That's it. Let's see, Go Deal Laboratory. Can't really get anything good from there. Killer Mantis fucking died. Yay. Just a few extras, no cool items. Okay, I believe those are music tracks. And then give me all of mine. Okay. That's decent enough. Some more music and a model. Or no, that's concept art, I think. So anyway, Venalia Desert has new things, of course, so that's gonna be where you want to send your best dudes. Make sure that they have all the most relevant stats. Cause there is plenty to plunder from the desert, now that it hasn't been touched at all. We just unlocked it, it's fresh and new, unlike just about every other area. Alright, let's see, nobody down here still. There was a guy down here the one time, and since then, yeah, nothing. So as always, during intermission time, we're just gonna go around and talk to everybody. Alright, so we're talking about Super Force Metal. No! I was afraid of this! Aren't you afraid of everything? I mean, yes, but this especially. Yeah, okay, so I make Force Metal. I would probably explode if I tried to make Super Force Metal. Don't fuck with that sort of thing, X. Say no to Super Force Metal. I mean, we can barely contain regular Force Metal as it is. Most of us really can't take that many before overloading. And quite frankly, I don't want those HP debuffs. Did it though? Like, Bodos is one of the easiest bosses so far. And like, part of that is because we are so powerful. But like, I don't know. His entire gimmick kinda left him entirely open. So anyway, Marino, of course, knows how people are when they're sneaky. Being a thief and all, she's got a good sense for that. And I mean, his terrible acting wasn't too convincing. Zero, however, is just real mad. Oh, he's gonna get it. Alright, so anyway, we have been introduced to a couple new characters, and I haven't particularly talked about them in general just yet, but least of all, I haven't talked about their voice actors, so okay, so I don't know why I did any of that. No, to all viewers, I just kind of entered and left rooms, and I don't remember why. Was I trying to waste time or something? Maybe, I don't know. Either way, anyway, like I was saying before... like I was saying before I got confused by my own actions. So let's start with Botos. He was voiced by Tommy James, who's been in various, kind of the usual things for the voice actors we've seen for the Mega Man stuffs. Little bit of Gundam, of course. Off-brand Dragon Balls. He was in Gregory Horror Show. He was Musha Dokuro. And he was actually in the DS port of Mega Man Battle Network 5. Like, that version is mostly the same as the Game Boy Advance version. But it does have voice acting, and it's kind of hilarious, because basically everybody sounds older than they should. And he was also the voice of Storm Eagle in Day of Sigma, which was a voice I vaguely remember being very amused by. And then the more, we'll say, interesting voice actor, Furum, is voiced by Onalia Gilbertson. Now, I say interesting. You might remember the last name Gilbertson, because Zero is voiced by Lucas Gilbertson. And if you're wondering, yeah, they are siblings, which, makes that entire scene with her whipping Zero and the vaguely sexually charged, dialogue. I say vaguely, it's like the bare minimum. It's like a little bit horny. But it's still kind of weird because, yeah, the voice actors are siblings. That kind of makes that whole cutscene a little bit awkward. But anyway, more importantly though, let's just mention roles that I know of. She's been here and there. All the voice acting credits I've seen are kind of infrequent, but, like, she has done voices relatively recently, too, so she has been working in spaces in some capacity. But yeah, just looking at this, her latest is 2022, and and listed before that as something from 2011, so, again, a little infrequent, but still around. Anyway, yeah, usual, she's been in some Gundams, Off-Brand Dragon Ball. Did have some Hunter x Hunter roles. But I think the most important one to me personally is she is actually the voice of Nico Zombie from Gregory Horror Show, who is a pretty decently important character. Nico Zombie himself, relatively prominent, and as a note, she does also voice Nico Zombie both in the show and in the game Gregory Horror Show Soul Collector. So, yeah, considering some of the voices don't return in that game, like from the show, that's cool. Though I don't think I saw her listed for anything past the original series, and I think typically the roles are for at least Bloody Cart and maybe Last Train, were typically... She's still wondering where Spider is. She still hasn't realized Spider died. Does she know? She was in love with Spider. And she's gone mad after learning of his death, and so now she's just standing there going, when's Spider coming back from the war? Elder who pities woman. Everybody in this room is just the woman who longs for Spider, and all the people supporting her. Where was I? Oh, right. I think typically, the Gregory Horror shows are, at the very least, Bloody Cart is listed separate from the main series. Again, I don't remember if Last Train is listed separately. It's, part of the original series. Bloody Cart's a bit of a spin-off. Kind of bit different overall, so usually it's listed differently, but I don't remember if third season is typically listed in the same space in Behind the Voice Actor. It is part of the main series, don't get me wrong, it's fairly different from the rest of Gregory Horror Show, so part of me wonders, they have all these listed differently, but yeah, no, I think in the main series, she's Nico Zombie. Though I guess, to be fair, the other thing is, maybe Nico Zombie wasn't in Bloody Carts? That could also be the thing. I was under the assumption that he probably would be, but I could be wrong. Anyway, everybody's talking about Super Force Metal, and now we've got a Super Force Metal dealer in town, and everybody's like, oh, geez, I want that kind of power.
Everybody thought Spider was actually secretly alive and you could revive him with a cheat code, but no, it's just some woman who went mad with grief.
Also, yeah, don't worry about this man. He's not dying. He's not getting steamed to death. He's just looking at a machine. Not particularly good mechanic-wise, I think. I mean, you can tell some things by observation, but I don't know. I feel like a proper inspection would be to, I don't know, actually be in there with it. Oh well. Anyway, we're going to make Cinnamon ludicrously overpowered now. We're gonna give her the kitty gloves. Now, these might sound a little silly, and in terms of power, they're not her best weapon. However, they are multi-hit, which is a pretty big factor, and they just hit enemies with debuffs. Before I get back to that, though, real quick, time for some talk about Massimo. I want his last action trigger. It's incredibly necessary for what I'm trying to do, so... as a note, in order to upgrade his action trigger, he has to do a certain amount of damage in a single hit. His first action trigger, Critical, needs 3,000 damage in a single hit, and the one I'm trying to unlock is 10,000 damage. So yes, this is going to be incredibly necessary for what I'm about to do. Also, yeah, there's Cinnamon in action, and these are weak enemies, that's why I sicked Massimo on them to get his action trigger, but Cinnamon's still kind of ridiculous at this point. Anyway though, yeah, from now on, the last thing a lot of mechanoids are going to see before they die is just :3 glomps you, Cinnamon running towards them, and then she just tears them apart limb from limb. It's really quite brutal, I shouldn't be laughing at this. So, down here, thanks to the Tiana key, we can now access one of the game's super bosses, and one of the ones you can fight before the post-game. So you might be wondering, what does a super boss in this game look like? Well, I did want to go back and make sure I'd saved before we find... this woman! She's doing a routine, but we interrupted it. Your motherfucking life ends now. It's Reflexion.
Who are you strangers?
Okay, so yes, she is flanked by 2 Belladonnas, which is better than the 3 Belladonnas we saw earlier, sure. We already know how they work. Reflexion herself, level 77, not that that matters too much. 31,500 life energy, 115 power, 75 armor, 65 shield, 70 speed.
Transform!
So her standard strike's not too bad. However, she has Deep Impact, which is just a really damaging attack that ignores armor and shield. Riot, which is just berserk against the entire party, so make sure you have protection against that or you're screwed. Terra Thunder, so she doesn't line up with elements with the Belladonnas, so don't think you can tank everything with a single character. Ultra Giga Blizzard, which is water damage to everybody. And Sunburst, which is 10 hits of 250 damage against the whole party. So, like the Belladonnas, she heals herself for a certain amount on certain turns. For the Belladonnas, it was after you hit them. Kind of mercifully. Reflexion only restores 25% HP. However, she does this automatically at the start of each turn, rather than when she gets hit. So less HP recovered overall. However, you don't need to hit her first in order for her to get better at kicking your ass. So yes, if you cannot end this fight quickly enough, Reflexion will rip you to shreds. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You want to make sure you don't slow yourself down too much, which is a bit of a problem if you want to start stacking up your hyper modes. Those typically tend to slow you down a bit. And yeah, just like with the Belladonnas, do all of the damage you possibly can within as few attacks as you can. Again, you're not going to be able to stop her recovering. However, you can do this. As long as you do enough damage, it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of you getting around to this before she can really gain stats from growing, I guess. That's really all there is to it. It's just a passive effect where she gets stronger, not a full-on move. So yes, the good news is, for me at least, I know I can beat Belladonnas, so now that I've killed Reflexion, the rest of this is fine. I know how to do this. And, you know, I've had a whole chapter since I fought the Belladonnas, so in theory this should be even easier than it was the first time. But yeah, that's just about this fight. I have vague memories of a friend who had this game. Forget if it was for PS2 or GameCube, doesn't matter. And he absolutely got his ass kicked by these super bosses. It was just a case of, you know, children might not pick up on the winning strategy of make absolutely goddamn sure Massimo has his best action trigger before you do this fight. Like I said when I was getting it, that was a necessity. I tried. I could not beat Reflexion without the multi-stage portion of Massimo's action trigger. Like, I couldn't do it. Even with criticals, it just was not enough of a damage output. Eventually, Reflexion started outpacing me, and yeah, no, if you start needing revives, you've lost. You can't keep up. She's just going to kill you harder. Believe me, I tried. X-Fire does actually resist the Sunburst attack, which is good, because that is by far her most lethal thing. But it's still not really enough when it kills the rest of your party. And yeah, no, when it's Reflexion and two Belladonnas teaming up against you, there's really nothing you can do. So anyway, in terms of bits and pieces around Reflexion, she is voiced by Carol Ann Day, which is the same voice actress as Marino. And also, this is Marino's theme that's playing right now. That's right, your motherfucking life ends now, and your motherfucking life ends to the theme of Marino. In fairness, it is catchy, and you really don't get to hear it enough, so I guess I'm glad I'm getting my ass kicked to it. We'll go with that. Also interesting is, there is a cool bit of initial concept art for Reflexion, which is actually not too bad. It's pretty cute. I think I prefer this version, though. I can see why they kind of went with the kind of revamping this one. Maybe it's just the halo, and I consider that a bit too much, because looking at the little sketches on the side, I kind of like that design. Like, in general, Reflexion is very magical girl, and I think even her original concept art kind of brings that across pretty well. She's still got the Reflexia flower dress design. Different hairstyle, which I think I actually kind of like the hair more. And kind of more of a generic, like, star and moon rod design. Even though it's a much different flower, kind of the literal sun flower design of Reflexion's current rod is, I think, a little more charming. I think that one's just a little more cohesive. And again, I think the halo on the original one was a bit much, because looking at that design without it, I would have accepted that one. I don't know. I kind of wish this actually got its own design, or this design got its own use. Like, I don't know, maybe the Belladonnas could have looked like this. But either which way though, yeah, like, I kinda get why they went with Rafflesia's current design. It looks good. It's very interesting, and I think it still gets that sort of magical girl design across, while also kinda being its own thing, you know? It's a little more Mega Man X-y, because I think it sticks closer to the Rafflesia flower. Again, it's a bit more cohesive. Also, just like a cute little detail of the concept art. I don't know if it was on purpose, I feel like it probably was, but her shadow's actually a little heart shape. That's neat. Alright, well, couldn't get a full multi-stage, but it doesn't matter. I can kill Belladonnas without that, and god, I love it when they just fucking disintegrate. So yeah, some people seem to sleep on Massimo, and that is incredibly foolish. Because if you get his best action trigger, he can kind of just wipe things from the face of the earth. Also, yes, Axel's action trigger powered up. Rafflesian is one of his abilities. You can probably guess the attack you get from that is Sunburst. Okay, so X actually got a new hyper mode. That's your reward for this one. You get the Nova Strike action trigger, and instead, X will look like this. You don't have to choose one or the other for, like, your fights overall, you choose on the spot, so if you'd prefer to use X-Fire, you'll just have the option from the hyper mode menu. So yeah, brand new Nova Strike, which we're gonna have to see at some point. I look forward to showing that off. And, yeah, X's ultimate armor actually made it into the RPG, which I think is pretty rad. It's definitely a lot different from his usual ultimate armors, but I feel like it mostly fits, his usual designs. Though with a bit of, you're not gonna need this for platforming flair, you know? It's a little bulky, in a way, but like, again, they don't need you to platform in this, so it's fine. Alright, so what do we get from Vanalia Desert? Oh my god. Super Absorber Bait, which would have actually been pretty useful for that fight. Block all. Okay, yeah, we got some pretty incredible stuff. I might have wanted to wait for Vanalia Desert before doing that, but whatever, I didn't need bait. All I needed was Massimo's best action trigger, and that won me the fight. Seriously though, I genuinely tried without it, I couldn't fucking do it. Alright, so we're going to end off by finally visiting the Sky Room again. It's been a while since I've done this, because, well, you know. Nothing ever says whether or not it's new. So, yeah, we're just gonna cycle through all these, because they're definitely new. But yeah, in terms of like the new music and stuff, I don't really have a way of remembering what I did before, and what is new, so yeah, I'm just gonna be cycling through everything until it seems like I've reached the end. But yeah, that's more or less gonna do it for this episode of Mega Man X Command Mission. Also, hello Early Shadow, hello Early Silverhorn, hello Giant Prion. So yeah, we're just gonna cycle through this stuff. There are no new scarf designs, also that's a weird Chief R. Yeah, no new scarf colors, and I don't think I actually looked at the story segments. I might do that next time I visit the Sky Room, but I figured there's a fair bit here already, so I'm gonna leave well enough alone. And I'm also just gonna say goodbye here. The rest of this is just extras, which I've either seen before or I will see again in kind of a future Sky Room visit. I don't know if I'm going to get this 100%, if I'm honest. I'm under no impression that I'm going to, but I'll do as much as I can. But yeah, like I said, I'll visit the Sky Room again at some point, so I'll probably wind up seeing all this, a second or third or fourth time, you know, however many times it is. So yeah, that'll be it for Mega Man X Command mission today. Next time, we'll begin a new chapter, because that was intermission. The intermission where I just did a super boss. Again. I mean, now we know that the Belladonnas are just support, but in fairness, when there are 3 of them, and they come at the end of an enemy gauntlet, they kind of kick your ass either which way, so... honestly, almost indistinguishable, but yeah, I keep saying I'm gonna sign off and then I don't, so... we're at the end of sketches. Have fun looking at the rest of the stuff. A goodbye.
you